looking to create more detailed IFC models with BlenderBIM, as the standard window and door types tend to offer a rather basic final look. Welcome back! And for those of you who are new to this channel, this is me, Hristina, and my superpower is helping creative people get the best of any building informational modeling software faster. Today we are going to revisit one of our favorite topics on this channel, BlenderBIM, and we are going to take a deep dive into the window and door tools in BlenderBIM. We're going to discover how we can easily place windows and doors in our IFC models and use the window and door parameters to further modify and customize the geometry of our existing types. However, we're going to go a step further and leverage the modeling power of Blender to create our own highly detailed window and door types. As a BIM professional working mainly with Revit, one huge aspect of my work so far has been to strike a balance between the level of detail of the geometry of my model and its performance. So today, personally for me, will be extremely interesting to see how an IFC model behaves with a lot of highly detailed custom window and door types. So let's move on to the laptop. Placing a window and door element in BlenderBIM might seem a little bit self-explanatory, but actually I believe there are a few things that need to be clarified so that you don't end up with window and doors that are actually not hosted in your wall. So when it comes to your insertion point, both for your window and door, it doesn't really matter if your 3D cursor will be at a certain level vertically. In fact, the really important thing is for you to note at what sill height, relative height from the base level of your wall, your window will be. So right now, I will place my window here, and I want to create a new window type. And what I would like to have as a relative height or sill height will be 30 inches. So that once I place a door, the head height of the window and the door will match. And before I hit add, it's important to select my wall and hit Shift A. And if we go for the measure tool, we can see that our window is placed at exactly 30 inches sill height. Okay, let's place our door. Let's create a new door type. And once again, make sure to edit your relative height. I can shift my cursor somewhere to the left. And the only thing I need to do is practically select my wall and insert my door. So what we can see right now is that our head heights are not matching right now, and that's for a reason. As the actual geometry of our types do not match our naming right now, we can actually very easily modify that. To do so, go and select your door type and select geometry and materials. And on the parametric geometry, you can see that you have a door modifier and you can easily hit edit. As you can see, you can choose between different types of doors. Double swing left, sliding to left, sliding to right. So practically here you have most standard door types lined up for you. There are different aspects of our door that we can easily modify. For example, our lining depth, our casing thickness, our casing depth, our threshold, the depth of our panel. Finish editing. And as you can see, we pretty much can achieve our own uh, look in terms of geometry. The same we can do for our window type. And as you can see, once we fixed the overall height and width, now our head heights are matching. Just as the door, our window has most of the standard geometries out there available. And each geometry type has its relevant parameters for us to fix up. First mullion offset, first mullion thickness, and more. I would like to edit my type to be a double panel vertical, okay, double panel horizontal, and I would like my first offset to be 25 inches. And right now looks pretty good. Now that we fixed up our geometry, it's time to add our materials. When it comes to window elements and door elements, usually when it comes to IFC, you will need a material set. So let's select our window type and go to materials. As you can see in our project, we already have available glazing, lining for our window and brick for our wall. To assign the material set to our object, go to Object Material and select IfcMaterialConstituentSet. We can start with lining, hit Edit, and choose glazing. In fact, we can name them.
we can use the same name as the material. Okay, so right now we have our IFC material constituent set assigned. When it comes to our IFC data, right now we have our materials. However, when it comes to our object, when it comes to our window object, in fact, we only have only one material set, the lining one, the first one. And we can go ahead, select one of our window objects or IFC windows, and right now you can see both the geometry of our glazing and the geometry of our lining are with the same material. Let's go ahead and add another window to our wall from the same type. How we can fix that? Just for the sake of having a better visualization of our model, you can go ahead and select one of your window elements, switch to edit mode, and go ahead and select the geometry of our glass panes. Come here, add glazing, and assign it to that geometry. And as you can see, it will change for each instance of this window type. However, keep in mind that if you want to do something like that with the standard window types, I think you should fix that at the end of your modeling, because when you come here and add another window, the geometry regenerates and we no longer have uh, our separate blender materials assigned to the window panes and the lining respectively. So just keep that in mind. So my goal for today is to create a custom IFC door type for an arched entry door. And I'm going to start with the handle. Today we're going to work with mesh tools. All right. And some geometry modifiers as per usual. So let's start with the handle. When you create your IFC custom type, it's very important to align its geometry to the X global axis of your model, so that once you place it in the wall, it's oriented to the right direction of your wall axis. So let's start by adding a mesh. Usually, what we have is a 6-inch door slab. So I'm going to just move this plane away at 3 inches. Okay, -3 in my case. control my edges length. I find it very useful. And edit mesh tools. Let's select our edges. Let's align the top. The thickness of our door slab is usually 3 inches. So I will go back here by 1.5 inches. Okay, now this looks better. Okay, now we have our plates. We will need to model our handles as well. I will collapse it at the center. Hit E from the keyboard. Okay, so now we have something that looks close enough to our handle. Select it and convert it to a curve. And let's insert a circle. What to do now is extrude this profile along this curve so that we get the full geometry of our handle. Go to the curve over here, click on geometry and go for object. Click on the picker and it starts to look better in general. Right now, there is a bi-directional link between the two. So if I try to scale a little bit my profile, the changes will be immediate over here. What I see is that right now, the shape of my handle doesn't fully, uh, is not fully aligned with the plate here. And I would like to change that. I will enter edit mode. Okay, maybe I can further edit the profile a little bit. Uh, Something that you can do is fill your gaps. And right now, our handle still needs some work. I guess I will reshape my profile for the last time. And select my object and convert it to a mesh. At this point, we will no longer need our profile. And to make our door handle look a little bit smoother, we will go for Subdivide. And as you can see, our geometry looks much, much better. So now that we have a much smoother shape and we are happy with the result, we can just apply our modifier. What we have left is to model the handle on the interior side of our entry key lock set. Let's add a circle. Simply snap it to our cursor. I believe it's around 4.5 inches away. And now we can enter edit mode. And scale it. We'll try a very simple shape that can um, be similar to what we have here. I will turn off my snap so I don't snap something accidentally. As I'm actually going to extrude my geometry in a relatively random I'm going to select all the edges and hit F. I can extrude from here at around an inch. All right, this starts to look better in general. Hmm, I guess what we can do to make this object look a little bit smoother is probably to bevel it, maybe at a percentage. Maybe we can try some other modifiers. Right, this kind of smooths the geometry a little bit, but we don't want to have this in all directions. I guess Okay, that's a bit too much. I guess I like the shape. And I will apply that. The last thing I guess I want is this part of the handle. And I will enter a cylinder shape, scale it, rotate it. Edit mode. Select the face here. And to further improve the shape, let me first align my surfaces here though. What I'm going to do is go again to modifiers, go to simple deform, and I really want to twist my geometry around the local axis. All right, this is a bit too much. Maybe around 90 degrees would be nice. And now I have more of the right look, I guess, for my door handle. All right, so right now, all of these are separate objects. And what we want to do is join them into one. Then we will be finished with our handle for now. But before that, I have to apply my modifier so that this really changes the geometry of this object. Let's select them all. And now all you have to do is hit Ctrl join. And now, as you can see, they can be selected as a single object. And one good thing that you can do is also set your origin, be able to easily move around this geometry. So it's time to move on with the geometry of the door itself. So now that we are done with our door handle, let's move on with the other part of our geometry for the door. So once again, I will start from a cube. Okay, let's create our arch. Probably there are better ways to do it, but this one works perfectly for me. Mirror along x-axis actually. Let's see if I can select everything and just hit F. And we pretty much have our door slab right now. I want to create a part of it that will be made from glass. So I'm going to hit E here. Actually, you can be very specific with 10-inch depth. I guess the last thing for us would be to create our door frame. We are going to pretty much use the same techniques as when we created our door handle. So not much to follow. Here we're going to convert this to a curve. And I guess it's time to create the geometry of our door frame profile. First, Shift D, Control M, across Y. Okay, then convert it to curve. Right, let's do fill gaps. And this looks pretty good. We can name it to frame for now. All right, now that we are ready with the geometry of our door, let's join each of the components in a single object. After some attempts to create my own IfcDoor door class type, um, I realized that it's much better to start by joining the vertical elements like the door slab and the frame. So it seems like the first element joins to the second one. So let's first select the door handle and then the other part of the door, Ctrl+J. And now we're going to name our object to arched door. Uh, I think we need to also tweak our insertion point right now. I think it will be very important for when we place our door type inside the wall. So let's switch to edit mode and select this vertex over here. Shift S and cursor to selected. Let's switch to object mode. set origin to 3D cursor. And I think let's first snap our cursor to the world origin. And then we can easily snap our object to mm, to cursor. And actually, I think our true insertion point should not be here. Actually, here will be a better one. Object, selection to set origin first, origin to 3D cursor, and yes, origin to world, uh, origin, and finally, let's snap the object to the cursor. Okay, this looks good. Just for backup, I will copy my geometry. And I believe now we are ready to create our own IFC door type. And let's hit assign. It might take some time. Just don't start selecting other functions and buttons. All right, it seems that we already have our type here. So now that we created our type, we can easily hide it if we want to. I would like to actually rename it to something that also gives away some information about the overall size. And maybe just arched. Okay, let me create. Uh, Actually, I would like to just select all of these in the background and delete them. And I'm going to add a new wall. And I'm just going to head over here, go select arched and add. Okay, it will take some time. Be patient. It seems like whenever we add a bit more extra detail, it's definitely a little bit heavier on uh, the adding. Okay, and I would like to just move my door here, and I will regenerate the geometry of my wall. And one thing that you're going to notice is that when we have arched this geometry, I will just maybe hide for now. Um, as you can notice for yourself, right now our opening is actually rectangular. Um, my workaround for this situation is, as per usual, to go into edit mode and go ahead and edit the geometry of the wall itself. I'm going to switch back to object mode and first select my wall. Excuse me, and first select my door. I will go to edit mode and I'm going to just check the number of our edges of which this arch consists, and they kind of add up to 16. So let's switch back to edit mode for the wall. And what I'm going to do is first join a couple of faces. To join or merge faces together, you have to select all the faces you'd like to merge and select dissolve. Right click, dissolve faces. I will hide my door for now. Okay, let's switch to selecting edges. Let's select these edges over here, and you can hit Ctrl bevel and just um, move your mouse around. It's not very important for you to um, do a specific thing at this point. Now that we have our additional menu here popping up, it's important to select clamp overlap, and let's make it to 30 inches. And now we can split our arch into 16 segments to match the geometry of the arch of the door. And now you have a perfect door opening for our arch door element. But before I let you know what are my thoughts about the model performance and the overall process of creating a custom IFC door type in BlenderBIM,
Are you still wondering whether to start learning BlenderBIM right now? Then make sure to check out my video on the top 5 reasons why you should be paying attention to Blender and BlenderBIM. For me personally, Blender and BlenderBIM are a great open source alternative to Revit for small scale projects, even at this early point of development. However, even as a seasoned BIM professional working on highly complex, large-scale projects, you can still utilize Blender BIM to improve your IFC output on a daily basis. And to start with any software, you should simply learn how to navigate through it. And I believe my video on Blender BIM navigation could be helpful in this regard.
so personally for me, once I created my door and window elements with a little bit more sophisticated geometry in the IFC model with BlenderBIM, everything seems to be working fine. The model in itself did not show any problems that I could spot at least. However, the process of creating an IFC door type or window type with a bit more sophisticated geometry definitely felt very heavy on BlenderBIM itself. And afterwards, just creating an instance of this IFC type was also kind of difficult. So personally, for me, I might be looking to do a little bit unorthodox geometry with another add-in and simply classifying the object in my model uh, with the correct IC class. But I'm really curious, what do you think about it and how you approach this issue? Please let me know in the comments below.
As per usual, thanks for making it to the end of this video. And if you're looking to learn more about Blender and BlenderBIM, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel.